So there's a little known fact, maybe unknown fact, I don't know, that people like to refer to me and Lisa as the cyber sisters. So apparently people think we look the same. I don't know if you think we do. I'm obviously the older, wiser sister. We'll say Lisa's the more attractive one. But in essence, we have been working on a little bit of a new project. And we want to give you the first people ever to have a little bit of insight about what it is we're doing and what's coming next. So, Lisa, can you give us a little bit of an insight about the Cyber Sisters? What is it we're doing? What's coming?
So the way this kind of started was a bit strange, actually, because Sarah and I, we'd been friends for a while. We kind of talked a lot, didn't we, about maybe doing something together. And it just so happened we sort of went out and we were doing I think we were driving a Land Rover or something, I can't remember, we were doing some sort of experience.
As you do.
And someone said, oh, I saw you and your sister driving the Land Rover. It's like, me and my sister. And it then transpired that quite a lot of people think we're related. Okay. I don't know quite what that says about our family, but you know, we both went into cybersecurity anyway. And so we were sort of thinking about the project that we wanted to do, and we were trying to think of the name to use. And as people were already calling us Cyber Sisters, we thought, why not? Why not call it Cyber Sisters? So we were sort of talking about content in the industry and some of the things that are missing. And I think some of the stuff, and probably some of you will agree, we kind of talked a lot on social media about it. What's, I think, important is that so often in the industry, we sort of do try and shy away from some of the really difficult conversations. And we had a great talk earlier about AI, and you know, some of the really quite difficult realizations almost about what we're really doing and the limitations of it. And so we thought we would launch a podcast, video podcast series with some guests where we, how would we say it? A little more controversial.
Yeah, kind of the topics that people don't want to talk about in public, the topics that people don't like to be grilled on, but actually we want to grill people. We want to be a little bit controversial, and we want to have some hard-hitting conversations. So that, in essence, is kind of what this sort of podcast show is going to be all about. But it is with a little bit of a twist. So it's not just your kind of average Q&A where we get guests and we talk about things and, okay, yeah, cool. We do want to kind of take it to the next level. So it's really then thinking about what are those really deep subjects that we're not really talking about, those taboo subjects, and kind of bringing it to life a little bit. So in conjunction with the Cyber News Group, as Lisa said, we are launching this show. It's a full production quality show. So we're not just doing online or, you know, for podcasting. We're having a video show as well. And we are in Manchester, not just for this conference, we are here for another reason. So we're going into a production studio tomorrow with our first guests. So Lisa, without giving too much away on who the guests are, can you kind of give a little feel for who and what it is we're talking about, some of the subjects?
Yeah, so actually some of the initial subjects that which are really interesting, we're talking about like some nation state, very difficult questions around nation state actors, especially around really, I think, like, can we realistically do anything about it? And some difficult questions around that. We've also got some, you know, really interesting elements from everything from kind of human trafficking to sort of mass state surveillance, espionage, all of those sorts of fun, light-hearted dinner topics. Why we don't get invited to dinners, probably, Sarah. Our parents would not be proud of us. But again, we're really keen, and why we kind of want to talk here today, we're really keen to get your insight, because this is really about providing, this isn't providing content for us. I mean, obviously, we love grilling people and being problematic on camera, obviously. But apart from that, we really do want to produce stuff that is asking hard questions. And that may be to regulators, that may be to law enforcement, that may be, you know, whatever it is. We're really hoping that actually some of your hard questions, some of the stuff that we hear even at this conference actually, people raising issues about regulation, people raising issues about standards and things like that. That's what we want to take, and we want to put somebody in the hot seat and kind of ask those questions and see if we can move the conversation on. So we'd really appreciate people's support, suggestions, guest suggestions, anything like that. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, and I think part of it is that realization, you know, we come to these conferences and we talk some cool stats. Everything's always getting a little bit worse. Nothing's getting a lot better. And so we kind of come along to these kind of discussions and we kind of say, well, this is what's happened, this is what we learn, this is what we need to do. But it does kind of feel like we have the same conversation over and over again, don't you think? That we're repeating the same messages. And so part of what we wanted to do, we feel like we're going, ha, 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 we're the evil twin sisters, what can we kind of come up with? But there is a kind of reality to it. And as we sort of said, you know, we're kind of coming up with what needs to change, what genuinely needs to change. And I just give you a little bit of an insight. And I'm going to pick on CrowdStrike, not because, you know, I'm Microsoft and I'm going to pick on them. It was just as an example. When I'm going to roll the clock back to July last year. And so if you remember the incident, so it happened on the sort of Friday morning for all of us in EMEA. And it was kind of like one of those moments where we just had a new Labour government. COBRA was enacted for the first time under that government. And they're all kind of looking at each going, I don't know what to do. What do we do? And so it's not a cyber incident. What do we do? But in essence, all roads kind of went to the NCSC. It was kind of like, it's a cyber company. I don't know. But it kind of the reality from that and a wake-up call, even that I met the NCSC, the kind of following, I wasn't summoned, by the way. I was already kind of due to have a chat. And there's a couple of interesting conversations that kind of come out the back of that. So one of them was, well, this is not a cyber incident, as we know. However, that has given a lot of threat actors a playbook for how do I cause as much havoc as possible across global supply chains without actually having to do a cyber attack. So that's kind of one of those realities, and as we started from in terms of that systemic risk, and not just focusing on disruption, but destruction as well. And I think one of the realities that maybe the remit of the National Cybersecurity Centre needs to extend. So it's not just about cyber, it's about resilience, about all of these things that we're talking about. And kind of the next kind of port of call from there was, you know, really as an industry, let's be honest, whatever we're doing is not working, or it's not working to the full value that it needs to. And the answer to the question can't just be, let's have more technology. And as I say, I'm saying that coming from Microsoft. So in essence, that is kind of all of these things combined in what we're talking about, you know, having these conferences, having these conversations, having these kind of major incidents that are kind of coming thick and fast, and how the threat actors are evolving and how they're kind of bringing each other together, is then really then what are we missing? What do we need to change? Who do we need to have in the hot seat, in essence, to have these conversations? We're not going to kind of boil the ocean and fix everything, but getting into those deeper kind of, as you say, level of conversations. And I just wanted to if anyone's kind of got any hot topics or food for thought with regards to what are the kind of conversations we should be having, you know, what are the guests we should be having on the show. I just really wanted to open up to you. You don't feel like you're on the spot, but if you've got any kind of immediate thoughts, we're all ears, really. Anyone?
I think we've reached a point, and you can hear that actually in the tone of the talks, even just today as an example, where there are some really harsh realities that I think we need to swallow as an industry. For example, Jake's talk earlier on cloning and deepfakes. Can we do KYC anymore? Can we honestly say we can do that with any degree of certainty? There are other things as well, like you were saying, and you know the talk a minute ago about phishing training and things like that. Are we saying that's definitely working? Because we still have phishing. So I think there's I think we need to change up the narrative, as you said, and that's really where we're going with it. So anything, not however controversial, I'll rewind that. Anything within the acceptable parameters of controversy please do let us know on LinkedIn, Twitter, Blue Sky, whatever you're on. We're all ears, and yeah, the more difficult and controversial, the better, I suppose.
Yeah, and we don't have to talk about it. You don't kind of have to put your hand up and go give us all those comments now, but it's kind of, as I say, food for thought. Oh, go on then.
Well, we look like sisters.
Well, part of it is we're not expecting everyone to have all the answers. A lot of the things we're going to be talking about is potentially rhetorical. So what is it we need to be thinking of? And it's challenging people to think differently and act differently. And it's challenging those biases, exactly what you were saying, is how do we get unstuck, I think? And some of that, is it a major change? Is it kind of a slight thing? Is it how we're talking to ourselves? Are we even talking to the right people? I'm just going to give you an example. I did a roundtable with the water industry a few months ago, and it was kind of like on a CISO level, and we were talking about the threats, and we were talking about the challenges on securing the OT. And one of the CISOs there said, yeah, but you're talking to the wrong people, because I know this, you know this. We've known this for a long, long time. However, if I can turn around and say I need all this investment, I can't get investment without going to a regulator and say, here's my long list of things I need money for. I'm probably going to have to put up the bills for all the consumers in my area, and they'll go, yeah, whatever. Not happening. So we go around this merry dance all the time. So we might get some investment. We know we're not going to get that investment, so we cut and dice it down. We go around this thing. So actually, are we talking to the wrong people? So we're having a security conference for security people. So should we actually be having a security conference for non-security people? Should we be bringing government in? Should we bring regulators in? Should we be doing whatever? And that's kind of what we're trying to get to, in essence. And what is it that we need to change? Is it incremental? We kind of have these conversations. So it's a kind of a starter for 10. And we're just kind of hoping to open the Pandora's box, maybe, and see where it goes. But we're hoping, so we say we're going in the studio tomorrow with our first 3 guests. I don't have an exact timeline of when the first show is going to be out. I think it's going to be towards the end of this month, beginning of March. But once it's out, we would like your feedback. And we will have a website that you can contact us, or you can contact us individually as well. But I know you're dying to get to a break before you meet David. So, Lisa, anything you wanted to add?
No, just please, contribute. This is about delivering stuff that's useful for you. And that's really where we're coming from.
Yes. So as you said, you're the first to know. But do please give us your feedback.